A glamorous couple stole bank cards from gym locker rooms to fund their extravagant and lavish lifestyle, all the while showing it all off on social media. 39-year-old Ashley Singh and 20-year-old Sophie Bruyea maxed out cards of 18 unsuspecting victims, splurging on luxurious holidays to Dubai, designer clothing, and even a pedigree puppy. The couple were convicted of conspiracy to commit fraud by false representation. Let me have one quick cough. Excuse me. Singh was sentenced to 3 years in prison, while Breuer was sentenced to 20 months at a Young Offenders Institute, suspended for 2 years with unpaid work. Joining me in the studio to discuss this, former Met Police Detective Peter Bleksley. Good to have you here. Everything about this fascinates me and much of it appalls me. So let's talk about the crime itself, first of all. What were they doing and how difficult or easy was it for them to do it?
So Singh, in particular, targeted gyms. And whilst people were training or having their shower, whatever they're doing, Singh would break into lockers. And essentially, if he found a phone, for example, he would remove the SIM card from that phone and also take photographs of any credit cards that people had.
Oh, my gosh.
So by the time people were dressed and out of the gym and suddenly perhaps might realise that their phone's not working, Singh had taken complete control of their finances. He was arranging bank transfers of money from one account to another account, maxing out the credit cards to their limits, applying for limits to be increased on credit cards, and having letters redirected to different addresses so the frauds could just continue and continue and continue. This was not Singh's first series of offending. In 2019, he'd been jailed for 5.5 years for exactly the same kind of offending. But he only served about half of that sentence. So he gets 5.5 years, does half, and with no element of rehabilitation, goes straight back to doing exactly the same crimes again.
All right. And the police managed to find them, largely helped by this Sophie Breuer, who's 20 years old, who just kept on posting pictures of all the incredibly expensive things they were doing.
Yes, and she's got 120 hours of unpaid work to do as part of her sentence, which sees her not going behind bars. Looking at her photographs, I wonder what kind of relationship she's got with any kind of work, because she's only 20, and fortunately, through her stupidity of posting photographs with this glamorous couple on the Amalfi Coast and in Dubai and other places, flaunting expensive watches that are the proceeds of crime, that went a long way to helping the police piece together their movements, link it together with credit card transaction, mobile phone records, and all that kind of stuff, clearly by detectives who have a firm grip on the fact that the devil lives in the detail, and all credit to them for that.
Yeah, they did an excellent job, didn't they? If you were one of those detectives and you found that all your work and all your actual ingenious, endeavours in piecing this together, bringing them to justice, had resulted in the sentencing that you have just discussed, how would you have felt?
Extremely aggrieved, because I cannot for the life of me figure out, whilst Singh would get 5.5 years for his first series of offending, the financial damage of which was about the same as the second series of offending.
£250,000.
Yeah, and then he gets 3 years for the second. Surely I would have thought there would have been some kind of escalation increase in jail term, because this man, this criminality is not what he does. It's who he is. It's at the very core of his being. His existence is about theft, fraud, conspiracy, criminality. So I don't see that a 3-year sentence, of which, yet again, he might serve as little as half, is going to actually get him to challenge his behaviour, appreciate the wrongdoing he's doing, admit his guilt, and suddenly live a contributory, useful, purposeful life.
Sophie Breuer effectively walks free. I mean, she's got a suspended sentence, but she's not behind bars.
No, I wonder who's going to dog sit her Pomeranians while she's doing 120 hours of community service. Will that be strictly supervised and imposed because sadly what happens with some of these community sentences, the criminals rule the roost. They're not suitably staffed. People turn up late, if at all. They intimidate those people who are running these courses. Let's hope that none of that applies, and that 120 hours, she has to graft on every single minute of it.
Peter, thank you very much indeed.